Speaking publicly about men's issues is controversial. Let's face it, few people care until we make it impossible to ignore. And when men do speak up, friends disengage and family don't want to get involved. Very little respect is given to the possibility that we're simply describing our lived experience. And the discomfort that people feel is not proof that we're wrong. It's proof that the topic still is not socially safe. And that's what I want to talk about today. I recently spoke with Dan from Men Need to Be Heard about the relational costs that men face when they speak out publicly. Dan hosted me on his channel last summer when I published my first book, and this was my effort to return the favor. If you're not familiar with Dan, he's been a consistent advocate for men for many decades across social, political, and personal arenas. And he's built a serious platform by refusing to soften the conversations around men and their needs. I'll put a link to Dan's channel in the comments, so go subscribe as soon as you can. One quick note before we start. The audio quality on this recording isn't great, and that's my fault. But I did clean it up as much as I could, and the content I felt was too important to just leave on the shelf. So, okay, let's get into what happens when men decide to finally speak out to the world about men's issues.
It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life.
How have people responded to you personally with your views towards men and you're advocating for them? What's that life like?
So, my current wife is of a don't ask, don't tell scenario. So, and it's not that she has a problem with anything I do or say. It's that she's gotten threats. So people have found her. Yeah. So July, I actually had to leave TikTok for a while because she was getting threats. So that is, when I sat down and talked with her way back and said, I'm going to be doing this. She didn't have a problem with it, but she's a high level executive for a company that she works for. Right. So obviously she doesn't want this impacting her. Right. And it shouldn't, but you know how people are. Right. So the agreement I have is I've never had her on the channel. I've never talked about her. I don't talk about our personal relationship other than in positive ways, which generally speaking, it would be anyway. But I'm not going to go and if we have a fight over something, not that we rarely fight, but if we did, I'm not going to go spewing it on any of them, right?
Yeah.
But so in her case, though, it really turned her off because people found her. And
wow,
that's what they do, right? And so it was pretty serious threats. But generally speaking, she is very supportive of what I do. My family, I do have a daughter that's not thrilled about it. She's in college. There you go.
Yep. I've got a couple of those myself. We talked about this a little bit ago.
They are, I mean, I can see her getting indoctrinated as you and I speak. It really is amazing to see what's happening. It's scarily so. But hopefully my ex-wife and I can keep her grounded. But other than her, my other children are fully supportive of it. Friends, I do have some ex-coworkers who have found out what I do and are not happy with it. 100% of them women, by the way. But they come at it from the perspective of I think what happens is I make them think and they don't like what they're thinking about themselves. So they react to that.
They don't know how to process it. Yeah.
They don't. But I think generally speaking with my friends, the male friends are 100% positive. I mean, 100% positive. They love what I do. And most of them will say, I don't have the ability to do what you do, Dan. So thank you for speaking out for me. Right. So, I can't say it's been all wine and roses. There have been some bumps along the road, but generally speaking, most people are very positive. The ones that actually take a step back and really think and listen to what I do realize that I'm not coming from a position of hatred of women or any of that. I do call them out, but they respect that I do that, right? And that's generally speaking how probably 95%, if not higher, of people have been. And again, I don't throw it in people's faces. I don't need to. I'm not. I have no ego whatsoever. I think I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I have clients still, even though I only do it part time now. They're 100% supportive, and a lot of them are women. Some of them actually love my content. I mean, it's like awakened them to what feminism was doing to them in one case. And she said to me, "You're the best thing that ever happened," in that sense, because as she listened to me, she then took it and started listening to other viewpoints. Right. So my co-host on my live show, who's Lindsay on Boy Meets Squirrel, we started listening to what Lindsay was saying and our live show. And it really opened her eyes and helped her. And she's so appreciative of it. So, I mean, it's generally, like I said, 95% positive. The few that are negative, they're just, it is what it is. It's kind of like when you look at politics, we've become so divided now. And I'm mainstream, middle of the road politically. I don't like either party. I think they're both a bunch of buffoons. But people on the left think I'm hardcore right. People on the right think I'm hardcore left. And I'm neither. But I've had friends, like my wife and I were talking about it yesterday. I have a friend that I've known since kindergarten. 57 years we've known each other, who's now decided because of certain events in the last week or so that I'm a horrible person. Now, mind you, I haven't said a word of where I stand. But because I didn't come out voraciously in support of where she stands, I'm now an evil person and a Nazi. And I'm like, you've known me for 57 years, and now I'm a Nazi because I haven't said anything?
Thank you for sharing that, by the way. Again, that's one of those things I think that guys do not hear enough of. What happens when you speak out. A lot of guys are afraid to do it, and some of them rightfully so. They should.
Oh, absolutely rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of guys that I know that have to live in fear for their jobs for daring to speak.
Yes.
That is a lot of them. I mean, and I totally respect that. And I say to them, make an anonymous channel. There's plenty of them out there. The big one that I always mention is Father X, who, I'm not going to name his name, but I know him well. He's a good friend of mine, but he is in his job. If it were found out it was him, he would probably lose his job for what he says, but yet nothing he says is wrong. Right. It's just, he's not following the mainstream, whatever narrative that you want to follow. So he made an anonymous channel and it's working for him. So there's always options with that. My viewpoint is I am non-cancelable. No, you can't cancel me because I don't give a shit, right? What are you going to do? Okay, so you take my channels down. I've lost 3 channels on TikTok. I just create another one. I don't care, right? And if they took me down completely and I disappeared, I would just go sit on the beach. I mean, it's like,
right.
I go golfing every day and sit on the beach instead of making videos. I'm not planning on that anytime soon, but if it worst came to worst, that's what I would do. You're not going to get me, right? But I'm in a position to be that way. I'm financially secure, and all that. I understand guys that are not. But the other side of it is that doesn't mean you can't do things behind the scenes. Doesn't mean you can't lobby with politicians. Doesn't mean you can't, make phone calls and stuff like that. Maybe not get on social media, but you can still do something. And that's where we need to encourage guys to do more of that.
Yeah. Let me just let me share, and again, because I want guys to that are watching this to understand that if relationships go sideways, they get twisted because they're speaking out or something like that. Just know going into it that the potential is there, right? Again, one of the things that I see myself doing is preparing guys to know what to expect, so when it does, you're not thrown off track, right? You're like, okay, I expected this to happen. Now I can respond, more with more emotional stability, or be more pragmatic, knowing what's coming. And along those lines, let me share this for any guys that are watching. So when I published Confessions, right, when we spoke back in the summer, I was in a family Facebook group chat, right? There's probably about 40 of us in there. Many of them I haven't heard from in 30 years. Some of them I don't even know. They're distant aunts and uncles and things like that. But I had made some comments in there. Hey, I'm about to publish the book, and one of my cousins had said something about airing my dirty laundry, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, I shot back with a couple of things, and then I sent my brother a text message. Several days after that, I said, "Hey, man, would you mind get one of my books on Amazon? I want to see if we can get it up in the rankings and things like that. At least sell a few books early on." And he responded to me in a text message, and he said, "I don't want to get involved." And there's not like a lot of negative history between he and I over 30 years prior. We weren't that close because early in our lives, early 20s, we just kind of like went along different paths, but we've always been respectful in not necessarily physically close, but close in friends. My brother and I. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Then it's like, if that's all you need to do is say that you don't want to get involved, all I'm asking you to do is buy a fucking book on Amazon. That's it. I'm not asking you to talk to anybody about it. I'm not asking you to sell my books for me. That was it. So, and sometimes I think guys have to be okay with understanding that sometimes that's going to happen. And it, like you said, it's not your fault. And you have to decide, what hills you're going to die on, even if it's, longtime friends and things like that. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there with your example too. It's not uncommon.
It's I work and speak with I don't know, it's probably 24 creators in the men's space, and we all deal with the same things, right? You're going to get hate. The overwhelming majority of it will come from strangers.